everyone, welcome to our second live. Let me just add in Hannah. Hi!
Hi, how are you doing?
How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm also good, thank you. Finally, lovely day. I'm like, yes, summer's on its way.
You look like a really kind of professional light room.
Oh, well, to be honest, this was trial and error. Last time I was like in a dark room, it was basically my face just zoomed in. So I was like, let's just play around with it now. But whereabouts are you at the moment?
We're actually joining another business called Nomad Cooks actually at work and doing some things together. So
Oh, very.
really nice actually. Really
Mhm.
fine phone room now.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. Well, I was gonna say thanks so much for doing this. I know it's a bit last minute, but
No.
yeah, I basically just think it's. Well, I was gonna say I really love doing these lives to kind of get people to hear about what we don't see, and there's so much that we now see on social media, and it tends to highlight all like the success and the happiness when like I'm there like scrolling, crying, wondering what I'm doing with my days. So it's just sometimes nice to put like a face to brand, but also just talk through things that just aren't really highlighted as much. So yeah, thanks so much for joining. And I guess just to start off, like introduce you and ChicP and just tell everyone a bit more about your business.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, putting it down. So yeah, ChicP started 5 years ago. Got me now, and started with a passionate commitment to reducing food waste. Hated seeing the amount of food wasted that I was witnessing at private events, but also doing a lot of private cooking for clients abroad and across the UK, and just really passionate about throwing anything away, being creative with my cooking, and raising awareness around the problems of food waste, which then there wasn't that much awareness and people didn't really realize the scale of what was happening. So I was always making hummus from my leftovers and different dips. Quite quickly got a reputation. What's the dip of the day, Hannah? And I was always making leftover hummus from my leftovers in my fridge working each day. So quite quickly I was like, God, I'm quite upset with this. But it's also a grocery product that is really in a growing market, and it was really coming then and is continuing to grow. So that's kind of how it came about. And I was collecting all the surplus from London wholesale market every week, seeing what vegetables and fruits as well were being left and what was most the kind of British products ideally, and then using those and creating recipes from those vegetables, which were beets, carrots, and mainly herbs and spinach. Those are the ones I was seeing being wasted a lot. So yeah, that's how it came about, and then started growing it from there once I'd chosen my 5 key flavors.
That is amazing. And to think even you were running around picking up all of the wasted food to then make it into a product, like even that, I can't even imagine how you like I can think about how that would start, and actually like how you are, you're so committed, like you said, it grew out of passion. You go in and you will act, you just don't think about, oh no, I'll just, I don't know, wait for someone else to do it. You will do whatever it takes to get that in your hands and make a product out of it. So very admirable.
Oh, well, I mean, it was pretty stressful, to be honest. At the beginning, I didn't think I realized how hard I was working and how I was all over the place and actually collecting all the other waste that was there because I didn't want to see it either. So then I'd get home and buy a car full of like mangoes and raspberries flying all over the place. And I was like, oh my God, now I also do something with this waste. But then I was having to like do like last minute dinner parties or put it out on the street, being like, please. So it got up a lot of time actually just trying to coordinate the waste distribution while growing my business. So that was one thing that was, but yeah, I was passionate on trying to.
And and like there's always on reflection you think, how did I do that? Like what was I thinking? When you have all this energy, like maybe the naivety turned in with young energy and you're like, yes, I'm just going to do anything. But I was going to say, so like you said, it's been 5 years then since launch. Do you think Like, are you where you thought you'd be at this stage? So when you imagined your future self, I guess, back in the day.
Yeah, it's a good question because I guess probably I am and I'm not. You know, I had quite ambitious. By the 5 year mark, I did be in some of the major retailers, which I'm in some respects, but still expanding into more cult societies, which I'm actually so happy with, and it's a really stage. Carter is doing really well, but yes, we're not in Sainsbury's and Waitrose. However, I have had a yes from both of them 3 years ago, but the market's changed so much. We've had COVID, and all sorts of challenges. So I'm really happy where we are, but maybe I would have hoped to have been one step further. But there's no kind of yes or no or right or wrong to that answer, I guess.
Oh no, absolutely not. I was gonna say it is like you said. I think it's whenever anyone starts a business, it's ambition is huge. Like our imagination, I always think how we, or like yeah, like you said, I was the exact same. I thought by now I'd be like I'm in New York. I'm gonna be like on aeroplanes. Like there's so much ambition that you do. You kind of get not carried away. It's actually really nice. I think when people don't think about it too much and you think you're gonna be somewhere. But then obviously reality of a business sets in, and obviously things like COVID we couldn't have expected. So it's, but I was gonna say, because from an outside perspective as well, like when I look at you and ChicP, I'm in awe. Like I think where you are, what you're doing, the events, the distribution, to me, I'm like, wow, it's incredible to see, and I think you're doing so well. And that's why it's just sometimes nice to hear from your perspective, because obviously what I always see is not the case of being in the business. So
yeah, exactly. It's so funny how people say to you, "Oh, you're doing so well." Blah, blah, blah. I was like, "You have no idea what's going on behind the scenes." It's running around or what. I mean, and for you as well, it is like the opportunities are all there, and what we found that there's been so many contacts, and we've got so far with some people, and then we've had to start again, and that's been the frustrating parts of my journey so far. But in a way, it's a positive way to look at it, because actually it means that there's the interest. It's just maybe it wasn't that time to keep going and not take no for an answer and keep persevering.
yeah, definitely. Because I was gonna say, out of your journey, then would you say there have been any easier or harder parts? Like you just mentioned, that kind of like perseverance, that is very challenging. I think all business founders go through those. To be honest, I think it's just the whole process is always going to be a bit of a hustle. But are there any main things that you would say are, yeah, easier or harder consistently throughout?
Well, shelf life's always been an issue. It's not an issue now, but it does prevent us from being able to export, for example, as easily. But that was my main challenge when I first started. I was making it myself, and that was 7 days, which is basically impossible. And I managed to get it to 12 days and almost at this time. And now we're on 24 days, and it's been life changing, and so we don't have uh, or just getting it in certain retailers can accept that. And then another challenge was our manufacturers, and like having a manufacturer and then wanting to change manufacturers, and you kind of starting that process again. And that was a challenge. And now we're doing that with our falafel. We're about to swap our veggie bite manufacturer to a different place, which is really exciting. And it's going to be falafels, and the packaging's changing, and hot, similar to our hummus. But it's taken me over a year to find somebody to do that. And that is just, it takes so much time, so much energy, starting again all the time. Get really far down the line with, and then suddenly you realize that they can't do it for a certain packing reason. Yeah. So it's those kind of things which are always challenges that they just pop up, and you're like,
Yeah.
And you never know.
With first hand, yeah.
Yeah.
I think what you said as well, like what struck out to me is that starting again. I think that is such, oh my God, it actually like makes me so sad sometimes when, yeah, you think you get somewhere and you're so optimistic and you're so close, and like you put so much time and energy and you're invested in it, and then suddenly something will happen and you think, I can't go back to starting from scratch. But then there was no other option. And like I had the exact same with a fulfillment center, and I literally joined one. I'd got everything there, and then found out that they couldn't, like later on, I think, I don't know how, yeah, they couldn't fulfill Ocado orders. And we tried, and they even said like, we're happy to try and do it, and it just didn't work. And it was like, oh, I have to go through moving everything to somewhere else, but also the research and the time again to reinvest.
So
It's so difficult. Oh, sorry.
was that recently that happened?
That was last year.
Was it? Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, like 10 months ago.
Oh, how frustrating. And
But
had
it's
you
to your point, yeah. It's that like it's starting again. I think anything like that, a bit like what we've mentioned before, like if a buyer leaves or you get a yes and you think yes, this is happening. We're going to be in a retail and Waitrose, and then if they leave and you have a new contact, it's back to square one.
and that's what I had with Waitrose and Sainsbury's, and I was already lined up with the Waitrose marketing and magazine,
Oh my gosh.
and we were just waiting for the launch date, and then my next email to my buyer was just confirming everything again, and it just had an automatic reply being like, I am now on maternity leave. I was like, how strange, didn't tell me that all this time. And had to start again. Went in for another meeting, and then they were like, "Oh, love the brand, love the range, but we're not looking to do it at the moment." So we'll keep posting.
Oh my goodness, that's so frustrating.
Yeah. So 3 years later, same position.
Oh no, that is so. I honestly, that is. I feel that's just. Yeah. Oh, I can't even. I was gonna say, it makes me kind of like angry at how emails that can just come to you, and there's nothing. We're powerless, so we can't do anything about it, because if they've gone on maternity leave, what can you do? It's. Oh my gosh, no, that is challenging, and again, it's something that I think this kind of conversation as well sort of gives like a snippet to other people as well, kind of what it's like, because that's a challenge that we don't see. Do you mean like it's like personally as well? Like I protect myself. I'm not going to post something like that on Instagram or I don't know on social media, because well, I actually wish I was brave enough to, but I don't think I am. But it's yeah, just always trying to get in front of the right people and like kind of get that message across that a lot of what we do is sometimes not recognized or not really seen. But hopefully, well, fingers crossed, I was going to say, hopefully a new buyer, I don't know, there is something for Waitrose or the likes coming up.
Yeah, no, there is hope going again. Yeah.
That's good. Well, I had the exact same with Holland and Barrett, so I literally feel like I've given a year to try and chase where our conversation ended, and I still have no idea what's happening. So
I think these situations happen all the time, so no one's really alone, because it's just common in the FMCG.
it is, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, as I say, like we said, I think it's a difficult position when we're not sat in the power seat where we can just force ourselves to be on their shelves. I've always wondered if I just went into Whole Foods or something, just like put the jars on the shelves, I'm like, would they catch me out? Would they take them down? But I don't think I could do that. They'd probably escort me out.
Yeah, you've got to be careful with that one. I have done that before in a retailer, and then you've got good photo and video evidence, people picking it up, but then I haven't shared it because I don't know whether it's going to put you on the back foot. It's a hard one to know.
Yeah. Oh, that is hard to say, because I think I'd be like, do it. Like, that's incredible. You've got proof that it would sell because people are picking it up. But at the same time, oh yeah, no, risky. It's a risk either way.
Yeah. I'm going to write it down anyway.
Yeah. That's a good one. I might copy you two months. I'll bump into a shop and be like, oh. But so also, since I guess starting, is there anything now on reflection you wish you'd known going into ChicP?
Ooh. It's a really hard one. Anything I wish I'd known? Not necessarily, really. I think it's all such a learning curve, and there's no right or wrong which way you go. Like for example, some people start by producing it themselves and renting a kitchen, or you take the leap and you go for manufacturing. And that is normally determined by your MOQ, so your minimum order quantities into wherever. And I went straight to manufacturer from my kitchen, which I'm glad I did, because it just work away from having to hide in the kitchen and sort out ingredients. But it also caused a lot of stress because I was overproducing, and then I had to freeze a lot. Frozen hummus I was using for events, so I was always doing all these events so that I was never wasting anything. It was stressful, but it got us into manufacturing quick, and now was definitely for us the right thing to do.
Mm.
I guess prioritizing sales more at the beginning rather than getting stuck in emails with events and this. You get all these nice emails like, "Ooh, this is fun." And I just remember my dad once saying, like, "Hannah, you seem very busy. Are you prioritizing your work in the right way? You can be busy doing things that aren't actually growing your business." It really stuck with me, and I was like, "You're right." He's like, "Is it getting you sales? If it's not, then try and focus."
Yeah, great advice.
Yeah, so that's something that I was probably very busy doing not always the right thing.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's easy to, because there's so many facets of a business to grow, it's actually hard to delegate and think which is the most important, because you never know where, like you said, opportunities may arise. You might be like, that's really exciting, but how
Yeah,
do you know it's going to be beneficial? And things like, I still kind of like kick myself, but I think in the first year, like 2016, you know, when you get emails for goodie bags and they're like, oh, supply this and you'll get so much exposure, and it's this massive magazine that everybody knows of. And like naively, I was like, oh my God, incredible. Yeah, I'm taken away by everything you just said, and provided something like 250 small jars, but still just gifted them. And obviously nothing came out of it, nothing. And I just, you know, when you think like, what was I thinking?
don't know that because that's brand awareness where someone would have taken that away and been like, "Oh," and so
Mm,
future sales or
I'm,
whatever. I don't
yeah,
think that might have done, but I know totally what you mean. I've done things like that many
yeah.
times.
And it is, it's that kind of, yeah, I think like that's a lot of time that you put into it, and you think like it is, yeah, brand awareness, somebody might even word of mouth try it, but then it's on that flip side and you think, oh my God, nothing has actually come from that. And
Yeah,
I didn't prioritize what maybe would have been better spending my time doing, and maybe even donating that product to. And I just chose because I was carried away by, yeah, the brand name and what they were promising and what was going to happen. And like obviously you're like, oh my God, we're gonna get famous. Let's do it. So
definitely know what you mean by that. And again, like marketing emails, I've received on so many occasions where you pay money to be in an ad. And my sales exec's very upfront about saying, um, no, invest that money into your current customers and put a promotion behind Ocado or whoever, because that's where you're getting the sales and more, and you want more customers out of those people rather than
yeah,
an ad for some people in a magazine where it might be in leads and you might not even have a stockist in leads. So you're just,
yeah,
it's really like narrowing that down and being like, prioritizing where you're putting your extra marketing spend and things like that.
yeah. No, definitely, definitely. And I think I was gonna say, well, like what your dad said, it is actually really true. Like sometimes I think it's so easy to have a whole day of work and you think, like, what have I done that's, I don't know, that's actually been like really worthwhile. And like I don't know if, like, I don't work with anyone for content creation, because I think that now, especially with the rise of social media, it's quite demanding, like how much you have to do. And I just randomly at the office, actually, someone was just like, oh, what do you do or something? And then I was like, oh, I'm just creating content. And they were like, why don't you outsource that? And I was like, I can't afford to outsource content creation. Like I have to do it myself, because yes, it's my time, but I can't. Yeah, that's like exactly what you said. If I'm paying, I don't know, £500 for someone to create some stuff, that could go into an ad on Ocado, and that's going to get more customers. Like there's so much train of thought that you have to kind of put into it, and then be able to prioritize and know where your time is well spent. Oh, it's
Yeah.
a difficult one.
Tricky. Could your time also be valued by getting more sales,
Mm-hmm.
more deals done there, and then maybe that £500 would be worth social contact because you're actually going to go and get a bigger customer. So,
Yeah. No, I know it's so, yeah, it's so true. There is never like a right or wrong in any of decisions. It's just which one you have to kind of back and think, yes, I'm doing this. But what would you say is your greatest enjoyment or strength in the business? What's your favorite part?
I love being with my colleague and just working away, and like when we've got a good idea and that comes, and then we kind of put a plan together, or something on a card is done well and it's launched and we're having to send like lots of our photos and putting things together that then like complete and doing it as a team. I love that work. And then being out and about, and if we've got an event together or we're in front of people, being face to face, and we get feedback, that's always really fun. And you feel like you're taking time out and you're like, oh, should I not be? But actually it's so valuable. And so those kind of times are really good as well. I need to do more of that.
Yeah, definitely. And I know we've spoken a bit about like markets and events and how there's like two sides. Like sometimes you're questioning like, why the hell am I standing outside all day in the cold? But then there is nothing more joyous, I agree with you, about being face to face and thinking, oh, I don't know, I think that is just, it really adds a bit of like a spark, I think, when you can feel a bit deflated and then you go and you just meet people and you think, this is why I'm doing it, because you meet people who are just, I don't know, lovely and really excited.
Yeah. We were talking about that, weren't we? How much time we both standing on our own at markets. Gosh, it's interesting because, like, one example, last night I was somewhere and someone said to me, "Oh, God, that 5 years ago, and ever since meeting you at that, it was a blogger's event, but I had a stand, and she was like, I've always remembered ChicP and your products and bought them." And so it is those small interactions. But that was an event rather than all day at a market. But still,
and it's so nice. I think also a lot of customers don't understand the effect they have on founders or even people who work in a small business when they say something like that. Like, I can read one piece, like one review, or just hear something like that, and it can make my entire day, sometimes week. Like, it can just put a smile on my face the whole time, because you just kind of think, you've made it worth it. Like, that is exactly why you go into it.
Yeah, that is very true. Keep those quotes down.
Yeah, definitely. Just make a room at home of just like a happy space.
Good idea.
For any other startup or even small businesses, then what would you say is words of advice, anything that you would recommend to others?
Before starting a business?
Either before, during, whilst you're in the growth phase.
I would say get out there. Don't be stuck behind your laptop, which you do. Like, it's so important to meet people and to meet as many people as you can and have conversations with those people in the industry who might not be doing the same thing, but one conversation out can have an impact on which direction you go, contact. It just really helps your journey. And I did a lot of that at the beginning. I went to a lot of networking and drinks, and every kind of event I went to, I tried to put my products there, because I mean, hummus is very easy to add to any drinks event or networking event, and that really got our name out there, got people trying the product. And I would say that getting people to try your product is extremely important, because more people that try it, that's just great. Like that. Also gives you confidence. I think at the beginning I was always quite nervous about people trying my product in front of me, but now I'm very confident that it's a good product and we get great feedback. So I just drop it everywhere. And just being passionate about what you do is so important. Personally, I think that's very important, because you're talking about it pretty much every day, or selling it. It's what people are going to be asking about. So if you find that you actually don't end up liking what or making that much, or you don't believe in it, then I think it's going to be much more of a difficult journey.
Yeah, no, definitely, I agree with you. Especially like the networking is so important. Just it's so outside. It can be so outside your comfort zone. Like I actually don't. I just find it quite scary, like putting yourself out there. But even if you walk away with one contact, you think that was worth it. And like, if you take the pressure off and just say, I just need to say hi to one new person, you kind of think, oh, you can try and enjoy it, and it always works. Well, I like to think it goes better than you think. But is there anything now? I know you mentioned that like before you used to get a bit nervous around things, even though you obviously 5 years down the line, you've got so many more skills and experience. Is there anything that still kind of scares you or makes you nervous now?
No, not at all. I think more the fact that maybe I don't go to enough events, because I feel like I've done so many that I can't be bothered to go to as many. It's keeping actually up the momentum to realize it's going. And then I guess it's an effort and it takes energy to go to new people and introduce yourself. So for me right now, I would say it's getting kind of to go and talk to people again, because I've done it so much. I've kind of lost the enthusiasm. Whereas,
Mhm.
so that would be my thing now. And but also getting my team to go and we go together, and then it's fun and make an evening of it, or a lunch, whatever.
Yeah. Oh no, definitely. And I think even like especially with COVID, there hasn't been many events or networking things that you can go to. And even like this is so it sounds a bit silly actually saying it, but I'm going to say it. But there was a trade show. I can't actually remember which one it was. Last August maybe. And I'm a bit like you. I think energy has like depleted a bit. I can't really bother to go to networking events because in the early days you put in so much that actually you're just like I can't talk anymore. And I think I went to the first trade show last year and I put so much pressure on myself to have to like pick up some, I don't know, like new brands to work with, like talk to these people, introduce myself to this wholesaler, go talk to them, that I like freaked myself out, like my anxiety. I was like, I'm so overwhelmed. And it was for a trade show. And it's like, it's because I think it kind of like takes me back a bit like what you said, to that time where you were just doing so many events and trying to talk to so many new people. And it is quite scary because you kind of just put yourself out there, that I think I had like old feelings kind of resurface, because I was like, I was suddenly having like all this pressure around me, and I was yet the only one putting the pressure on me. Do you know what I mean? Like nobody was telling me that I had to go and do all of this. But I think as, well, I wasn't saying not to put words in everyone's mouths, but like as founders as well, I think it's so easy to know that if it's not you, like it's not going to happen. So you kind of have to be like, okay, like let's try and do this, or like let's try and go to another networking event, like one social a month. Like you kind of have to force yourself sometimes to do things that
Yeah,
feel a bit comfortable, because otherwise it doesn't get done.
no, it's true. And it's nice to have like an aim of doing one thing a month. Then if it tick that thing off, and then maybe you can do more as it goes along.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. It's all about getting out your comfort zone, I guess.
exactly. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. Exactly.
Always a risk, but never know if it's going to pay off or not.
I think always, well, you've got nothing to lose by doing that. So I
Yeah,
look at it like that. There's only something to gain. So if you can do that one thing or two, you always meet that person, even if you go 5 minutes. Like gone, tick that box.
yes, yeah, definitely. Oh, I've definitely done that. I probably went somewhere, I think I stayed for 5 minutes and I was like, okay, I'm pretty bored and lonely, I'm going to go. But yeah, you can always learn as well what you don't like. So if you went somewhere and you thought never again, at least you know not to do something like that again.
That's true. That's another thing, actually. I did go to a lot of stuff where I was like, oh my gosh, that was so unnecessary. That was such a waste of time. Or actually then say no as well. So it's prioritizing
Mm-hmm.
going to the right things rather than going to everything. And then you'll appreciate things you go to more as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. Actually, that's a good one. Like boundaries, like knowing when to say no and like actually saying no, or knowing when it's you don't really want to go, but it would be good, and like maybe it's a good thing to try, but kind of like
Yeah.
listening to that, like intuitive. And then I guess our final, and this is going back to how like social media does have this kind of nice visage of everything going really well and successful. So from an external perspective, external eyes, like we kind of, I don't know, interpret how other businesses are doing just based on what we see. But today, so as of 5th of May, I don't know what the date was then, do you feel successful right now, today, where you are with ChicP?
Blimey. Do I feel successful? Yeah. I mean, whether it's flopped tomorrow, I don't really care because I don't care, but I know that I put in a lot of effort, obviously. But one of my main aims, I guess, is education in healthy eating and sustainability. And I've had enough people come to me saying, oh, but I now change my habits and I never throw the leaves of that vegetable away, or I only recycle, or people who are like, oh, I've always been passionate about food waste and sustainability, and it's great to see what you're doing. These tiny comments along about how many people have changed their habits has made all the difference. If more and more people do that and start changing the way they eat at home and throwing stuff away, that's success to me. So
Oh, that's so, honestly, that is so inspiring and nice. I love the answer. Like you said that so nicely. Um, but I think
No,
that's also lovely to hear because, well, like I think you're a huge success in my eyes. But obviously, it is
no, you.
personal to
It's,
how everyone feels.
it's just a one. You're just a one man band, right?
Mm,
And boom, and like it's the same. I guess with both of us, the way people think you've got your marketing team, you're this, you're that,
mm,
um, and then it's like no. I've done all this. Well, I've got a little team, but you've done unbelievable. So
mm. Oh, well, thank you. But I was going to say, I think that's such a nice way to word it as well, that your education is working and people are listening and they are like you're making a change. I think that is so powerful and just well, yeah, I think that's something to be really proud of. So I'm glad you feel successful because it's something that we probably don't celebrate enough. But but I was
oh,
going to say, I don't I think this was informative as well for anyone who joined, and I could see like people popping up and it always says wave, so I'm always tempted to be like hi.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh, well, amazing. Sorry, it's 1 o'clock and I've got a call, which I didn't realize. But yeah, so nice to have the conversation. Hope everyone's enjoyed it as well. And we'll do our next one.
great.
Okay,
We'll talk. Yes, I was going to say stay tuned people for cooking, but thanks so much for joining and I hope your next call goes well.
amazing. Thank you so much. Nice to speak to you. Thank you.
Bye Hannah, lovely to speak to you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.